We are just 22 days away from the biggest showpiece on the African continent, where the African family meets for the festive season, where many will not celebrate the festive season as Morocco to be a Muslim country. The 35th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations takes place in Morocco from the 21st of December, where it's winter right now, as winter is kicking in as we speak, to the 18th of January. Morocco welcomed 23 of the country's biggest, of the continent's biggest national nations, or teams rather, to compete for Africa's biggest prize. Egypt, the most tournament's most successful team, will be looking to capture their eighth title, while the second most successful team in Cameroon will be looking to capture their sixth Africa Cup of Nations trophy. Nigeria will be looking to capture their fourth title, while South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Zambia will be looking to capture their second Africa Cup of Nations title. Good afternoon, welcome to it. My name is Apiwe Roto. Remember to interact with me on social media. We are on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, give us a thumbs up. The support is much appreciated. To those who've liked the page, we are now on 3,700 pages. Plenty to talk about, and we have to squeeze all of this in an hour. We are 7 days away from having our FIFA World Cup draw, which will take place on Friday at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. Let's get into our headlines, making stories making headlines in the world of football in the last week. Orlando Pirates are said to have come to an agreement with Major League Soccer side Chicago Fire for the services of the center back Mbekazeli Mbogazi. Now, the 20-year-old center back has been nothing short of exceptional since joining the senior team from the DDC, where he made his mark in the game against Mamelodi Sundowns in that 2-1 win in the previous season at the FNB Stadium. Now, all things football understands that the deal has been made. However, the 20-year-old will now turn his attention to the upcoming calling knockout final, where they'll be playing against Marumo Gallants at the Peter Mkaba Stadium. Not forgetting the Betway Premiership encounter against Durban City, which will be hosted at the Moses Mabhida Stadium later on today in less than 2 hours or so. Kickoff that fixture is at 3:30. All Things Football will bring it to you as soon as it kicks off. Now, the story revolves around. There's also the exception of the AFCON, of course, considering that the 20-year-old missed out on the Under 20 Africa World Cup and, of course, the Under 20 Africa Cup of Nations after his employers refused to release him for the tournament. However, this was something. Furthermore, this was something that the SAFA president himself, Dr. Danny Jordan, tried to get involved in, which proved not to be so successful. However, there's still time. Now you're said to have been seen at the OR Tambo Airport. Now, this is not out and out confirmed. Spotted at the OR Tambo Airport, trying to making his way to the United States. He's still tasked with the Durban City game today, and not forgetting the game next week on Saturday, the Cardi Knockout Final, which sees Orlando Pirates take part in their eighth League Cup final since the tournament's inception in 1982, dating from the first League Cup final in 1995, where they fell short to Vets United. Now, the transfer is said to materialize during the January transfer window for an disclosed amount of 51 million rand. Mbogazi becomes the latest South African player to join the Major League Soccer, following the likes of Ole Tumakanya, who plies his trade for Philadelphia Union. Not forgetting Bongo Shihlongwana, formerly of Maritzburg United, now known as Durban City. Njabula Blom, who has previously turned out for St. Louis. Now they're looking for was to complete another. There's also Mahankota, who's recently moved to the Saudi Pro League, moving to Atifak, a Saudi Pro League side where he plays trade for Al Atifak and for a foot where he was signed for a transfer fee of 40 million rand. On to our other story making headlines in the world of football. The US President, Mr. Donald Trump, has imposed a ban on Haiti fans from entering the US to watch the FIFA World Cup. Now, the Caribbean island were exceptional in their qualifiers from the Caribbean Bayside were exceptional in the qualifications, making their way into the World Cup, making their debut. And are said to return for it's actually their second World Cup since missing out since they are making their debut in 1974, I beg your pardon, with a tournament which they last played in. Now the tournament will take place and the tournament's final will be held at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium, which is also supposed set to host the semifinals. 11 U.S. cities, namely Atlanta, Boston, Massachusetts, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle will play host to the matches, with the exception of Toronto and Vancouver. Vancouver being the two host cities and Canada, while three Mexican cities in Mexico City, which host the Azteca Stadium, Monterrey and Guadalajara will host the rest of the some of the matches. 90% of the tournament is basically expected to be held in the United States. The 79-year-old cited reason for the ban has been down to national security risks. Now we saw this during the 2002 FIFA World Cup in Korea, Japan, with the United States after the 9/11 and the precautions that had to be taken after the September 11, 2001 incidents. Now, as a report from the United States publication, the Political, Haiti fans will not receive any exemption according to the State Department. The nation is the second country along Iran to have qualified, while also being under the travel ban. Now, we know Iran was sponsored by US sportswear brand Nike at some point around the 2018 prior to the 2018 World Cup, before switching to German sportswear brand in Puma. Haiti is currently dealing with a political crisis as widespread gang violence and poor humanitarian conditions have forced the national team to play their matches 500 miles away in Caracas. Now, this is not the only nation to be banned. Other nations include Equatorial Guinea, Afghanistan, Burma, Democratic Republic of Congo. Equatorial Guinea just among the few countries that have been banned, that will have are likely that have been banned from entering the country. Now there are plenty of these nations. There's a total of a maximum, to be exact, of 18 countries that will not be whose fans will not be allowed to travel to the United States for safety reasons, which begs the question: what does it mean for South Africa? We saw South Africa, the United States. We just had concluded the G20. We did not have they did not send American representative. They made themselves clear, stating that we will not send anyone from our department to be in South Africa due to safety reasons or whatever. Russia are currently there's also the inclusion exception of Russia, who are currently suspended from playing in FIFA sanctioned tournaments and sport as a whole, following the invasion of Ukraine. Not forgetting the Foot of Cameroon. The Congo are not entirely banned from the World Cup, by the way. However, Foot cancelled its remaining qualifying fixtures following the announcement of the suspension. Now we had the We had all the nations that were banned on the. Now here there are four nations that the ban restricts countries that go range from Afghanistan, Burma, West African country, Chad, the Democratic Republic of Congo, or Republic of Congo, the Congo rather, not the Democratic Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Fans will be prohibited from entering the US, while partially restricting the entry of Burundi, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and of course Venezuelan nationals. On to our other story. Onto our other story, Coach Hugo Bros has named his squad to take part his 55-man preliminary squad to travel to the Africa Cup of Nations. Now we'll bring you in the upcoming week the 23-man squad to travel to Morocco, going into the to face or to compete in the World Cup in the Africa Cup of Nations, which will the 35th tournament of segment of the tournament, or installment rather, which will be held in Morocco in cities namely Casablanca, Stade Mohammed V, and Rabat one, just to mention a few, which would also host the final. Now, Bafana of the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON champions find themselves in Group B, where they will be facing Morocco, Angola in the first game on the 22nd of December, before taking on Zimbabwe on Boxing Day and Egypt later on in the tournament. Onto our story, our squad, our goalkeepers from the squad. The start goal from range from Ronwen Williams, Ricardo Goss, Sipo Chain, Ronaldo Lina, Darren Johnson, Brendan Johnson, Kuliso Mudam, defenders, Brendan Johnson, while Brendan Peterson from Kaiser Chiefs. Kholiso Mudau leads the defense with Fezile Ngaba, Tabang Matuluti, Tabu Muluisane of Stellenbosch FC, Kuluman Ndamane, Begzil Mbogazi, Aubrey Mudiba, Ime Okon, Samkelo Kabini, Keegan Allen, Vuyo Litlapa, Nkosnathi Sibisi, Maribongwe Khoza, Siyabonga Ngezana, Tapelo Morena, Tabiso Munyane, who's applying his trade with Kaiser Chiefs. Tylon Smith, who's now at Queen's Park Rangers, the AFCON Under 20 winner. Fawaz Basadine of Mamelodi Sundowns, and of course Bradley Cross. While on the other side, the midfield is carried by Tebogo Mokoena, Luke Leroux, Batusi Opus, Talent Mbata, Spesihle Mkhize, Spesihle Maduna, Ndamulelo Mapangule, Pepelo Stole, Masindi Nemtajela, and of course Mtetelele Tian. Leading the attack is Oswin Apollos, who's been exceptional with Orlando Pirates, along with Kamohelo Spelebele, who's been having a hard time with having match time, especially with injuries hampering his process. Patrick Maswanganye, Ikram Reina, Samtuduzi Shabalala, who's been exceptional with Kaiser Chiefs, Mohan Kota, who's now in Saudi Arabia, Temba Zwane, Laya Foster, Poso Ditejane, Bongo Hlongwane, Tsapang Muremi, Mihlali Mayambela, Ashley Cupido, Evidence Mahopa, Sipombole, Keloto Machala, Chandra Campbell, Rabuhle Mufike, and of course Elias Mokwana. Those are that's the attack as a whole. Now the news coming in is that the team will be sorted, will be trimmed down to 23 players, as the coach feels that he's able to manage a smaller squad instead of the permitted 26 players. Now each team is permitted to have 26 squad members, with the exception of 17 members of the other side, which include the technical side, the team doctor, the conditioning coach, and of course the media officer. Still talking international national team football. Coach Desiree Ellis has also named her 26 women's squad to face Morocco in the upcoming fixture on the Tuesday, 2nd of December. Notable absentees include Kaylin Swart in the goalkeeping department, where we have Casey Gordon, Andile Dlamini, Dinero Magagola, while defenders include Lebohang Ramalepe, Figile Magama, Bamenane Mbane, Karabo Dlamini, Unati Ismail Bathlemneli, Asanda Hatebe, and Antonio Maponya. Midfielders include Bongega Gamete, Jessica Wade, Linda Mutlalo, Isabella Ludwig, Refilo Jane, Amogelang Motao, Regina Mukhulula rather, Nokolo Tasane, Michelle Sampson, and Bongiwe Tusi. Nonhlanhla Mthandi leads the attack along with Nobahle Mdelwa, Kwezi Khoza, Ntabise Machia, and of course Bunolo Mukoma. Notable absence in the tournament. Notable absence in the squad include the deemed the breadwinner, who won our first AFCON in the year 2022. Hilda Machaya, who scored the brace that won the AFCON for us. Another missing link, another missing member, regular is Tembi Khatlana, which I mean Sopesune, who's called time on her international career. And of course, yes, Temba Khatlana, who also leads from the attacking perspective. No, Ronald Donnelly was currently nursing injury. Last we checked, we're not we going to. The coach has not opened, or the coach has not said how the injury is coming along. Last we checked, she was recovering from an injury, which she picked up playing for her club and her league, her club, Mamelodi Sundowns. On to our other story. Bafana Bafana assistant coach, formerly who was also a former winger of Bafana Bafana, was part of that 1996 winning squad, won the African Champions Cup, which is now known as the CAF Champions League, the year prior with Orlando Pirates in 1995 with the likes of the late John Dongi Mieti, Nel Toby, Dr. Kumalo, just to mention a few, has broken his silence after enrolling in a CAF A license course to earn his coaching badges in a move he deemed as non-negotiable. Now, the former Bafana Bafana winger was part of that 1996 winning squad, the runner-up squad which won silver in Burkina Faso 2 years later, and the bronze medal winning side in 2000 in the Nigeria and Ghana tournament, was on the receiving end of criticism following his lack of coaching qualifications, which was also criticized by the head coach. Speaking to the former Bafana Bafana winger, by the way, this is what he had to say. He did send appreciation for he was currently doing his coaching course in Lesotho. This, which he said was negotiable. He states that I would like to thank the Lesotho Football Association, LEFA for short, for creating this opportunity for me to be part of these students, because it's not an easy thing, especially for a foreign coach to come and be provided with an opportunity to gain knowledge. Because while I'm here as a coach, it is important, number one, you have the necessary skills and knowledge on how to develop players. He goes on to assist and to state that paperwork is secondary, and what truly matters is improving his understanding of the game as a coach. For me as a coach, I've been working with at a national team at senior level. So it is important that I have the right qualifications. That is just some of the things he had to say. Moving on to another story, as the Egyptian Giants in Zamalek are the latest side to be on the receiving end of a transfer ban. Now, we do not have the full answers as to what led to the White Knights being on the transfer ban. It remains to be, they were handed a 3-year window transfer ban, meaning they cannot side any players. This sanction was handed by the world's governing body in FIFA, becoming one of the few African countries to be on this ban. This might be a result of unpaid salaries, most likely to a player or a coach or a former player. We are not too sure. The information is not entirely provided. The association states that the ban will remain in place until the dispute or disputes in question is or are settled. This development could mean Zamalek will be unable to make reinforcements in the January transfer window, which is just 2 months away, further hampering their Egyptian Premier League title hopes and ambitions of ascending the podium in the Confederations Cup. Now, the White Knights are currently in South Africa to play Kaizer Chiefs in the group stages of the Confederations Cup after emerging victorious over Zesco after playing to a draw against Zesco United in the previous week. The winners of the the 2023-2024 Continental winners um, were now the White Knights were crowned champions, by the way, and the 2023-2024 Confederation Cup before being dethroned by Moroccan side RS Bagan on the continental front. On the domestic front, they were last won it in 2022, sitting now they are currently third on 22 points behind log leaders on Al Masri, who of behind leaders Al Masri, who also beat Kaizer Chiefs by 2 goals to 1 last week, and have been exceptional, winning by 3 goals to 2 against Zesco just last night. The five-time African champions will face Kaizer Chiefs in their second encounter at the Peter Mokaba Stadium after beating Zesco United by an odd goal in their opener. On to Onto our other story, making headlines. FIFA World Governing Body has revealed the procedure that will be used in open in the draw that will take place at the Robert Kennedy Center for performing at the John F. Kennedy Center. I beg your pardon, which in Washington D.C. for John F. Kennedy for the Performing Arts which is 7 days away, will take place on the 5th of December and at a time that is yet to be confirmed. Now, we're just 200 days until we get our first ever extended 48 team FIFA World Cup tournament, with the last extension dating back to 1998, where we went from 24 teams to 32. The final procedures will stipulate that the coast in Canada, Mexico, and the United States will be allocated in Port 1, and they are allocated in Port 1, along with number 1 ranked side in Spain and second place Argentina, who are going as defending champions, while France 2018 winners in France are in third. 1966 winners and England are fourth, currently ranked fourth in the world. Portugal find themselves in number 6 behind 5-time winners in Brazil. 3-time runners up in Netherlands find themselves in number 7, while Belgium find themselves in number 8 and Germany find themselves in number 9. Now let's break down what we are going to see with regards to the group stage, how the group stage will pan out. Now, here are the Pot 1, Canada and Mexico have been identified, so they'll have different colored balls, which will mean Canada will have the red ball, which meaning they are going to be B1, while the Mexico will have the green ball and find themselves in A1. They'll be the first team to be drawn within the pots. And of course, not forgetting the USA, who will have the blue ball and will find themselves taken out, released as D1. Other pots include 10th. Pot 2 includes 10th place Morocco, Croatia, number 11 Morocco, 13th Colombia, Uruguay, who are 2-time winners, or Switzerland, who are 17th, and Japan, who are currently 18th, Senegal, who are 19th, Islamic Republic of Iran, who lie 20th on the log. This is part 2. The South Korea found themselves in number 22. while Ecuador find themselves in 23. Austria, who returned from for the first time in the World Cup since 1998, find themselves 24th, while Australia will currently lie 26th on the tape on the in the rankings, make complete the table, lie 26th, complete pot 2. Number 29, not 21, 29th ranked Norway find themselves in port 3, along with number 30 in Panama. Egypt, who find themselves in number 34, find themselves in Group B alongside fellow North Africans who are in 35. Algeria, Scotland, who are in 36. 39th placed in 39th place Paraguay, number 14 Tunisia, number 42 Cote d'Ivoire, return Uzbekistan who are at 50th. Our debutants go into this game ranked as number 50 on the log. Qatar are currently 51st, currently 51 in the world. Find themselves in pot 3 along with Saudi Arabia, who are number 60, alongside with include last but not least Bafana South Africa, who despite beating Zambia in their last friendly slipped down to 61 from number 59, and of course not forgetting number 11 from number 9 on African standings. Pot 4 sees debutants Jordan, who are currently 66th. They're alongside with debutants Cabo Verde, who are 68th. Number 72 ranked Ghana find themselves in pot 4, along with Curacao, who are 82. 84 Haiti, who make a return to the world's biggest showpiece after 51 years. New Zealanders also make a return after missing the last 2 tournaments. To be decided, we still have room for 4 European spots, which will be decided Part A and Part B. Part A and Part B, with playoff A between Northern Ireland, Italy, Wales, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Playoff B will include Ukraine, Poland, and Albania, Sweden and Poland and Albania. While playoff C will see Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo. European playoff D will see Denmark, Macedonia, Czechia, Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland. While FIFA playoff 1 will see North Caledonia, Jamaica, from where the winner will face off against the Democratic Republic of Congo in the final. The winner will eventually qualify for the World Cup. Playoff 2 will include Suriname, Bolivia, and Iraq, with Iraq being the favorable side, with whoever wins between Bolivia and Suriname facing off against Iraq in the final, with the winner going to the FIFA World Cup. On to our other story. The Africa's governing body in CAF has confirmed that they will go and look into an investigation following the ugly scenes that happened in the CAF Champions League that happened in the CAF Champions League encounter between MC Alger and Al Hilal Omdurman. Now, a fight broke out after the two teams after the game came to an end, where MC Alger lost by 2 goals to 1 to Al Hilal Omdurman. Now, the Sudanese Giants are currently playing their football in Rwanda, Kigali, following the civil unrest on their home country, which saw them play their football in Mauritania the previous season. And unhappy return to continental football for our very own South African tactician in Rolani Mokoena after for the meaning his unbeaten run since taking over of Al Maloudia came to an end. The Blue Wave competed in the Mauritanian Premier League last season. Therefore, this time they play the Rwandan Gin Premier League following civil unrest in Sudan. This past week, they took their game to the adopted Amohoro Stadium in Kigali, where the Algerian visitors fell short after Al Hilal captain Mohamed Abdelrahman scored the winner in the 75th minutes shortly after coming off as a substitute. Now, shortly before the game came to an end, Saladin Adil received his second caution of the game, which meant the game was not going to be pretty after he had to go off for a shower following a second bookable offense. A fight erupted after the full-time whistle, the two sides, players, and technical staff needing to be restrained by security personnel before heading down the tunnel. Now, the Pan African Football. According to Pan African Football, the Confederation of African Football will open an investigation that led to the incident with presidents suggesting that both clubs could face disciplinary action. Last season, they were also involved in an altercation with Orlando Pirates at the Orlando Stadium. We saw what happened with those scenes with a member of the MC Alger technical team or a player, we're not too sure, punching an Orlando Pirates official. So it will appear that they're not first time offenders. They will therefore face punishment. Another story includes Cape Town. Onto our next story, which includes Cape Town City boss Jock Chairman and John Gometis, who's opened up on the impressive Emil Witbooi, who's been outstanding for both club and junior level and national junior level. The 17-year-old has been unable to move to the move abroad to Europe or abroad in other parts of the world as a result of his age, as he is currently a minor. Speaking to Kickoff, the chairman had this to say: he cannot leave before the end of the season as he is still 17. He will turn 18 years old in August, which is next year. Players are only allowed to leave the country when they turn 18. He is the best player I've seen coming through my hands. I've got the comparisons of Steven Pienaar, Tulani Serra. I can definitely say he is an X factor. Yes, we have to respect that other players play in the biggest league in Europe. That boy still gotta do it. Now, the son of Mamelodi Sundowns player legend and Terence Mashiko, who also recently hanged his boots, applied his trade in Portugal before joining Mamelodi Sundowns, states that he is better than any other player that came through these hands of mine. We wish the starlet the best. We hope that in due course he gets to live his dream of playing overseas. We need more players playing overseas. It remains to be seen whether or not he'll apply his trade in Belgium, which or the Netherlands, where many have recommended, stating it is the best place to start your European career. On to our penultimate story. CAF has announced the list of referees that will take part of that will be part of the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations, which will be hosted in Morocco on the 21st of December to the 18th of January. The list includes two Algerian officials in Gabriel Mustafa and of course Gamal Youssef. Benin is represented by Chingo Louis, Hakonandande, and Ndahila Pacific of Burundi, Malfaya Abdul of Cameroon, Ajadi Allahu Mahamal of Chad, Messi Oved of Mvutu is part of the panel. He's from Congo. Pan Clement of Franklin of Cote d'Ivoire, Ndala Ngambo Jean Jacques of the DRC. Egypt is represented by two officials in Mohamed Mansour Marouf and of course Amin Mohamed Omar. Acho Pierre Gilshan of Gabon and Mableme Patrice Tongai will also represent Gabon. Despite not qualifying for this year's installment of the Africa Cup of Nations, Ghana will be represented by official in Daniel Ayi Leiria, while Kamaku of Peter Waweri of Kenya is also part of the panel. Traore Bubu of Mali will be part of the refereeing team, with Mauritania represented by two officials in Abdul Aziz Bo and of course Dehan Baida. Harel Ahmed Imitaz of Mauritius is part of the panel, with Jalal Jayed and Kesh Sheikh of Mustafa forming part of the panel, both of the host nation and Morocco. Uwikunda Samuel of Rwanda, Issa Sey of Senegal, Omar Abdul Kader Atan Abongele Tom represents South Africa, Mahmoud Ali Mahmoud Ismail of Sudan, with of course not forgetting Marez Maiki of Tunisia, Samir not Nabada of Uganda make part of the officiating panel. Assistant referees, we have two Algerians in Abes, Akram Zahoni, Abdel Abane. Angola will be headed by will be represented by two officials in Jason Emiliano dos Santos, Lopez Evalnido Morales de Os Santos, while Benin will be represented by Aymar Ulrich Eric. Now, these are some of these names are French, some are Portuguese, so my pronunciation might be a bit of a challenge. However, if one feels that I botched their name, I would like to apologize sincerely. Still on the list of referees, we are on Malondi, Congo. Before we move to Congo, we have Cameroon, who have Alvis Guy Napua Ngwenguye, Steven Stanek Mustasi of the Congo, Malundi Chani Yanis of also part of Congo, Leben Abdul Razak Ahmed from Djibouti, Ngula Gaifan of the DRC, along with fellow countryman Mbilizi Mwania Gradal, forms part of the assistant refereeing team, Ahmed Ahmusa Osam Lidin Taha of Egypt, along with countryman Mahmoud Ahmed K. Abulegrem, also form part of the team. Gabon is represented by Del Soga, Boris Malreich, while there's also the inclusion of Ahmos Aben Dong. Kenya is represented by Gilbert Sharaluya, Kipukesh, another one also accompanied by assisted by countryman in Yimbe Stefan Eliza Onyango. Soro Potswane represents Lesotho, Dimbimbane Adri. Oh my God, Madagascar. African. Now, these are African names. If I botch any, I apologize sincerely. Now, these are tongue twisters. So, pronouncing all these names, this is where the expertise of my fellow broadcaster and who works for a pay TV channel, Razes Kubo, comes in handy because it's very much good with these. Not forgetting another one who's a African football correspondent in Mamadou Gueye comes in handy. There's also Modiwo Semake of Mali, Zakaria Brensi of Morocco, Akad Mustafa of Morocco, Asenio Chadrick of Maringule of Mozambique, Torres Montenegro, Adenegro Abelmiro of Sao Tome and Principe, Noha Bogara of Senegal, Zakele Siwela Tusi Granville of South Africa is also part of the assistant refereeing team. Ahonto Kofi Jonathan of Togo, Hassani Khalil of Tunisia, Mohammed Abdallah Ibrahim of Sudan, Diana Chikofecha of Zambia, and of course Karen Fomo Atezambong of Cameroon. Video match officials include a notable absentee. Our notable absentee is Akwana Makalima, just to mention a few. Laslo Ben Braham of Algeria, Mahmoud Ashu of Egypt, Shami Chimina Brighton of Zimbabwe, Haitham Garad of Tunisia, Hamza Al Farik of Morocco, Hossam Azab of Agag of Sudan, Ahmed Abdul Razak of Libya, Sadu Ali Bramoy of Niger, Mimisa Dickens of Kenya, Boubacar Sarr of Mauritania, Jibril Kamara of Senegal, Letitia Viana of Eswatini, and last but not least, we have Maria Paquila Revet of Maria Pequita Revel of Mauritius. On to our last story, Everton player who plays Everton and Senegalese international in Adrissa Gana Gay has penned down an apology to teammates Michael Keane, following an incident which led to the Senegalese international seeing red in Everton's 1-0 win over Manchester United at Old Trafford on Monday evening. Now, the incident shows Keane, incident shows Gay in a confrontation with defender centre back Keane, which includes Keane the Senegalese slapping Michael Keane after leaving the referee with no choice but to send him off. The tweet goes on to roast pen this down a heartfelt apology on social media, stating, "I want to apologize first to my teammate Michael Keane. I take full responsibility for my reaction. I also apologize to my teammates, the staff, the fans, and the club. What happened does not reflect who I am or the values I stand for. Now, football, we know football is a game of emotions. However, there's behaviors that we do not condone. Even here at All Things Football, Football Unpacked does not condone violence of any kind, as it taints the image of what the late Pele referred to as joga bonito, which simply means the beautiful game. Now, we cannot have the beautiful game being tainted by that kind of behavior. All Things Football says no to violent conduct. He goes on to say, nothing does what happened does not reflect who I am or the values I stand for. Emotions can run high, but nothing justifies such behavior. I'll make sure it never happens again." Now, it's an emotional sport. Emotions run high, tempers are going to rise. We've seen this many times in the Premier League where teammates butt heads and get violent with each other, and as a result, get sent off by the referee, leaving certain teams with 9 men. Something former Newcastle forward and captain Alan Shearer has referred to in the past. On to our results, we saw last week date back to the 22nd of November, where we saw Amazulu play with the goals with a brace from Atino Makogolo to give them a 2-0 win over Suwelele FC. Moromo Gallants and Skukune United could not be separated, playing to a 1-0 draw. Sunday, we saw another doubleheader with TS Galaxy win by 2-1 with a brace from Puso Tetejane, if I believe. 2-1, while Richards Bay and Durban City could not be separated, and Umhlatuza Sports Complex playing to a goalless draw. Premier League results on the weekend saw Burnley fall short to Chelsea by 2-0, while Liverpool struggles continued on the league level from suffering going down by 3-0 to at the hands of Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth and West Ham United could not be separated, playing to a 2-2 draw. Brighton too strong for Brentford, winning by 2-1. The Seagulls avoiding a bee sting from Brentford. The Bees. Fulham winning by an odd goal against Sunderland, while Manchester City were on the receiving end of a 2-1 defeat by being on the receiving end of a 2-1 defeat by Newcastle United at St James's Park. Sunday saw Leeds United beat Leeds proving to be too strong for Aston Villa, proving too strong for Leeds United at Eland Road, while Arsenal were too strong for Tottenham, beating them by 4-1. And the game which saw Abrichi Eze net a hat-trick and winning man of the match performance. Let's show you how the league log table looks, as from starting with the Betway Premiership. League Mamelodi Sundowns top the table. Sundowns have a game in hand. Orlando Pirates have a game in hand which they will play today. A win in that game or a draw will see them briefly top the table until Sundowns play catch up midweek. While Suwelele followed by Sekhukhune United, who are on 22 points, alongside Kaizer Chiefs, who are in action in the Confederations Cup today. Kickoff for that fixture is at 3 p.m. where they will be facing a team they last faced in Zamalek in the year 1993, where they lost on away goals. Richards Bay winning by 2-0 last night, with goals from Mondres Wane Monday Dube rather proving getting on the score sheet last night, moving from 10th to ninth with just 17 points to moving them closer to the top 8. While Emorimo Gallants remain 11th, Chippa United winning just once remain at the bottom after going down to Stellenbosch during the midweek fixtures, which I will bring to you as the show commences. Midweek fixtures saw Orlando Pirates prove too strong with goals from Oswin Apollos and substitutes Oswin Apollos and Evidence Mahopa winning by 2 goals to nil, while Orbit College was fell short with from against Stellenbosch FC, who came from 2 goals down with goals from Atenkosi Mcaba, to one of them coming from Atenkosi Mcaba to cancel Alucius Wagaba's opener early in the first half to win by 2 goals to 1. Let's see the let's continue with the table, which saw Durban Polokwane City currently eighth currently handle the top 8, sitting eighth with Richards Bay 2 points behind them. Last night's win sees our Golden Arrows move down to 10th, while Amazulu currently missed out on jumping to third after falling short to Richards Bay last night, which they currently sit number 5 on 21 points. However, since losing last night by 2 goals to nil, they missed out on moving to third, which would push Skoko United down to fourth and Kaiser Chiefs, who are playing Continental football, to fifth. On to our other onto our now our Champions League fixtures. We saw Champions League fixtures, league phase, match day five saw Benfica going too strong for Ajax, who haven't or are yet to hit the ground running from a Champions League perspective, losing by 2 goals to nil. Galatasaray losing by an odd goal earlier. Bodo Glimt falling short to Juventus by narrow margins, 3 goals to 2. Slavia Praha and Athletic Club, the only game not to give us goals, finishing with a goalless stalemate. Manchester City losing to Bayer Leverkusen by 2 goals to 0. Chelsea too strong for Barcelona, putting on a magnificent display, winning by 3 goals to 0 at the bridge. Olympique Marseille coming from a goal down to cancel Harvey Barnes was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, winning by 2 goals to 1. Napoli winning by 2 goals to 0 against Karabakh. Borussia Dortmund proving too strong, turning into 4-4s, winning by 4 goals to 0. Wednesday saw Buffos and AS Monaco unable to separate, playing to a 2-2 draw. FC Copenhagen too strong for Gareth Almaty at the Copenhagen at the Parkden Stadium, winning by 3 goals to 2. Arsenal were too strong for Bayern, winning by 3 goals to 1. Atletico Madrid winning towards the end against Inter Milan by 2 goals to 1. 4-1 win for PSV over struggling Liverpool. Eintracht Frankfurt going down to Atalanta by 3 goals to 0, as was the case with Sporting Lisbon against Club Brugge, while we saw narrow margins in a game that saw Kylian Mbappe score another hat-trick, which sees him with 9 goals in 5 games, that being Kylian Mbappe when that 4-3 win against Olympiacos at Athens. Paris Saint-Germain winning by 5 goals to 3 against Tottenham Hotspur in an entertaining encounter. Richards Bay Battery Premiership result kicked off last night with Richards Bay winning by 2 goals to 0 against Amazulu, while which was a KZN derby to claim bragging rights from the KZN derby. Now the KZN derby is what people fail to understand is the KZN derby is not as easy as people make it out to be. However, there's bragging rights at stake, there's pride at stake. We have all these KZN teams, as much as we don't have, who are all fighting to capture the KZN and are fighting to be the pride of KZN. Here's how today's fixtures look from a Betway Premiership perspective. Let's start with the English Premier League while at it. Brentford will take on Burnley, while Sunderland will take on Bournemouth. Manchester City take on Leeds United. Everton welcome Newcastle. Tottenham Hotspur face Fulham. In our late kickoff. Kickoff for that fixture is at 2200 hours South African time. Southam Sunday sees West Ham take on Liverpool. Sees Crystal Palace welcome Man United. Kickoff for that fixture is at 1400 hours. West Ham welcome Liverpool. Aston Villa take on the Wolves. Nottingham Forest take on Brighton. We close off with the much anticipated London derby. Chelsea welcoming Arsenal to Stamford Bridge. Tuesday midweek Premier League fixtures. We'll see. Let's start off with Betway Premiership fixtures from a weekend perspective. Durban City will face off against Orlando Pirates at the Chatsworth Stadium, while we see Polokwane City. We only have 3 fixtures, by the way. The Mamelodi Sundowns Orbit game has been postponed due to Mamelodi Sundowns with Sundowns having played their fixture, and the in the CAF Champions League last night, that goalless draw against MC Alger, which sees them still top of the table. Polokwane City will take on Magesi on TS Galaxy, I beg your pardon, while Durban City will welcome Orlando Pirates. Those games kick off at 15:30 simultaneously. Sunday, you will see Marumo Gallants and Magesi, the only game that will be played at the Dr. Malamela Stadium. Kickoff for that fixture is at 15:30. Orlando Tuesday will see or Tuesday midweek fixtures. We'll see Golden Arrows take on Amazulu in another KZN derby, while Wednesday we'll see Siwelele take on Mamelodi Sundowns. Chippa United welcome Kaiser Chiefs. Magesi take on Kukune United. Orbit College take on Durban City. Olympia Park at Magesi will take on Skogone United at the Sishiko Stadium. Orbit College take on Durban City at the Olympia Park. Stellenbosch return to the league, return to PSL football after the conclusion of the continental football for the year 2025. Will welcome Polokwane City at the Danny Craven Stadium. Midweek fixtures in the Premier League, we'll see Fulham take on Manchester City, Bournemouth take on Everton, Newcastle take on Tottenham Hotspur. Wednesday, we'll see a total of 6 fixtures. Brighton take on Aston Villa, Burnley taking on Crystal Palace, Wolves take on Nottingham Forest, Arsenal welcome Brentford in another London derby. Leeds United take on Chelsea. Liverpool take on Sunderland. While Thursday we'll see Manchester United take on West Ham. Catch the Bafana squad announcement for the Africa Cup of Nations on your channel of choosing at 12 p.m. on Monday, the 1st of December. While added, don't miss the FIFA World Cup live draw. Group stage draw at the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts on Friday, which is 7 days away. That's all we have time for on all things football Unpacked. Let's do this again next week. Remember to hit those subscribe buttons. Tell me what you'd like to hear. Tell me what needs to be worked on from my presenting perspective. Tell me what you think of the show. Remember to comment, like, and share. Some constructive criticism is also welcome. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Give me the thumbs up. Like the page on Facebook, All Things Football Unpacked. You're also available on TikTok, all things football _14. That's all we have time for. My name is Apiwe Roto. This has been All Things Football Unpacked. You have been updated, your news, your results, and your fixtures. Let's do this again one last time next week for 2025, where we'll give you an exclusive of what you can look forward to going into the calling knockout final, which will be the 3rd installment since the tournament's inception in 2023 under the moniker the calling knockout, which will now Orlando Pirates are in their 8th League Cup final. They've only won once, have fallen short in all the other 7. Will they turn things around this time? It remains to be seen. Or will Marumo Gallants pile more misery on the Buccaneers? That's all we have time for. Take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy the football. See you next week. Cheers.